Hey guys, today I just want to share a little bit with you, with Christina here today, about just what has been happening here in the US with my visit. And you know, we had the outreach workshop, we had the Night of Fire and so on, and we had a few amazing events, and it was amazing because there were so many people who were coming from so far away. We're in Virginia, but they were coming from places like Tennessee, North Carolina, Texas, California. And I mean, when I heard that, it was just like, I couldn't believe it, but it just shows us like the Father's hunger, well, people's hunger for what Father is hungry for too in his bride. And you know, when we're talking about is that whole thing with spirit and truth, you know, where many of us, you know, we came into Torah, or we came into truth, but we want the movings of the Spirit, the fullness more of it. Yeah. And then there's others who may have, like, you know, maybe you came from a charismatic church or whatever, but and then you come to realization, oh, but you know, the commandments of God is still applicable today, you know. And it was so amazing because, you know, we focused a lot on the whole on walking in the Spirit, and with the outreach workshops on training others how to disciple others, how to pray for people throughout their walk, you know, every day. And it was so amazing how the Father showed up in those, you know, it's a workshop, a training workshop or whatever, but how the Father showed up in those events with the things that we were talking about, and what I was preaching about. And you know, for example, you know, I remember there was a lady who came, and she had really bad back, a really bad back problem where she could barely bend over to touch her toes, you know. And it was so amazing because it was, you know, everyone is kind of there and around there, and we just started praying for her, you know. And after the first prayer, she could go further down. Second prayer, she could go further down. And I think the third or fourth prayer, she was completely healed. And God just delivered her, and she was able to touch her toes better than I can touch my toes. And it's so amazing, you know. There was, just from my side, another one at the Night of Fire on Friday night, a lady who came forward, you know, before the congregation, and she couldn't see well, you know. And even on the PowerPoint, you know, I just wanted her to try and read there, and she couldn't read in the beginning, you know. And yeah, we just prayed for her, and she improved a little bit. We prayed again, and God healed her eyes, like in such a dramatic way, where she could read so much more clearly on that slide, just there in front of everyone. It was so amazing. Another lady who had tunnel vision, like she could only see you know, kind of in a tunnel waveform, and yeah, I prayed for her a few times. But guys, you know, it's amazing because every time, all of these instances, most of the time, it wasn't after a first prayer that this happened. And I think
repeated prayers,
right? And I think like that's part of the Father's demonstration was part of his demonstration to everyone as well, and that let's stop giving up after the first prayer, you know, because it's so easy to just, oh, it didn't happen, it wasn't God's will, or whatever the case is. But just by that persistence, you know, and keep going, praying more, you know, even if it's like 9 times, you know, sometimes after that 9th prayer, we'll see breakthrough and like miraculous healing happen, you know. And it's you know, it's really what I've been talking about a lot there. It's been about, you know, how faith is an action. Faith is,
it's not a feeling.
Right.
But it is that stepping forth in that active faith. So you pray, you pray again, you pray again.
Right, and it's regardless of then what you see. You're not gonna like what you see from that initial prayer determine what you should see. You know, and in other words, you know, get you down and be like, oh well, now I'm gonna stop, or whatever the case is.
For the outreach workshops, they were super powerful. I mean, it was all amazing and mind-blowing, just how God worked and touched people's lives and hearts. For my own, one thing that stood out to me was really stepping out in boldness and not being held back by fear, but going out. When we went out into the streets, into the shops and the restaurants to pray for people, I know I asked the Father before we went out, you know, where should we go? Where are you calling me and the person I was with to go to pray? And he placed certain places in my mind and in my heart. I'm like, okay, you know, we'll go there. Some of these places I didn't even know didn't know they existed, because
Do you want to share one of them?
Yes. Okay. So one of them was, I was praying before we went out, and God placed in my heart Walmart and gas station. So in choosing one of those places, we ended up going to Walmart. And as we went there, we were praying for multiple different people. It was fantastic. It was great. Everyone was receptive, and they were thanking us for the prayer. It was a blessing. But at the very end, the last person we came across was this older lady, really sweet lady. And so we introduced ourselves and asked if there's any way we can pray for her. She introduced herself as well. She opened up her jacket a little bit and revealed that she worked at a gas station. She showed us her name tag. And so in that moment, it was like, boom, I realized that Walmart gas station, God had revealed that He wanted us to speak to this lady and to speak into her life and to pray over her. And she shared a lot of things that she was struggling with her son. And it was a really powerful moment that touched us as well as touched her. She ended up crying, but it was a blessing in so many different aspects. When you just listen to the Spirit's guidance and leading, He will point you in the direction you were meant to go and who to speak to, and to not be held back by fear, but to go forth in boldness, but boldness fueled by love for that person. He will give you that love for that person.
Right. And I think it's a good point, like you said, kind of that leading of the Spirit. And I remember, like, I think initially when you heard, like, Walmart and gas station, like two different things, it's kind of like, where then should I go, God? Why are you giving me like this thing? But that's kind of part of it. It's part of like trusting God that He knows, even though He's showing you something now that makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
And then just going and being, and it's kind of that trust of that we are being led by the Spirit right now, even if we're not sure what that's going to look like.
Right.
Just that trust, and then going wherever, making the decision, going, trusting we're being led, and then letting the Father fill in the gaps. And
exactly.
then you're like, okay, well, we're now out of Walmart, and now I've got a lady from the gas station, and it's like, boom, appointment,
Exactly. Another example was, as we were praying for the second day, about where to go as we were going out, dropped into my spirit a shopping center, and I asked the lady I was with as well, where do you feel the Father is leading us? And she also felt that it was supposed to be a shopping center. I'm like, okay, shopping center it is. But as we were driving, I felt really dropped into my spirit that it needs to be at a Panera's. But I didn't see any Paneras in that shopping center. I didn't even know if one existed over there. So I thought, well, maybe, I don't know about that. We'll see. Shopping center. So as we were walking along and we got out of the car, we headed towards like Dollar Tree, right? But as we were walking in that direction, I saw right in front of me a Panera's sign, which totally blew me away. I'm like, oh dude, there's a Panera's over here. So we ran over. We're like, okay, God has a purpose for this. There's some person here He would like us to speak with and to pray with in this Panera's. Because I didn't know there was even a Panera's in that shopping center. As we went in, we were looking around and we didn't see anyone like immediately. It was pretty empty actually. Until I turned around and there was this lady who was doing some things with her cup and getting some napkins and whatnot. And I felt really just put on my spirit that this was the person we were supposed to pray with. Well, we ended up introducing ourselves, and she introduced herself, and we said what we were doing and if we could pray for her. Is there any way we can pray for you today? And that's when she's like, oh, I'm an intercessor. I have, prayer meetings at Panera's all the time. And it was just wonderful. She was so excited for what we were doing, but we were able to encourage her as well and pray with her. And she even prayed with us a little bit. It was really amazing and beautiful, just the way God brought that together.
And there's also like one note that I wanted to add by that. It's like there's also like a balance. Like now we're talking about like these really Spirit-led things where, now afterwards it's easy to tell the story of how we were led by the Spirit, but in the moment you've got no idea.
Right.
It's not like this voice comes and now, it's very much like we can now look back and say, yeah, we were led, but in the moment it's very much just nature. It's like that, Father said in Jeremiah 31, He's going to write His law in our heart, and it's changing our nature, taking our heart of stone, giving us a heart of flesh.
Right.
In other words, our flesh starts becoming more acquainted with the Spirit in a way, so everything that the Spirit does becomes more natural to us. And so when we're walking by the Spirit, it's a natural feeling a lot of times, because we're so become in tune with Him, And so, I'm just saying that I think a lot of people have got the misconception that, oh, I don't feel led right now, so it's probably not God. But in the moment, you're not going to probably feel led. Nope. It's very natural in the moment. But afterwards, it's like, oh, this and this and this and this happened. That's obviously been God.
Exactly.
That by nature made it happen.
Right.
So it's really, that's what faith is. It's trusting Him no matter how we feel in the moment, whether we feel we're being led or not.
Right, because faith isn't a feeling. And we shouldn't base our decisions on feeling or emotion. Do I feel led in the moment? Oh, maybe I don't. Or I don't feel up to it. Or I feel tired. Or I feel fearful. You just go forth. You go forth in that active faith. Because that's what faith is. It is action.
Right.
And it's trusting in Him. and listening to his voice.
Right, and feelings can really be like the enemy's playground. And so it was really awesome that by the end of kind of the workshops, the 2-day workshop that we had, there was some people who actually came forward for baptisms as well, because we were talking about baptism in the workshop as well, and which I'm going to share with you guys the talk. But you know, we ended up being able to baptize some of them. It was really amazing, and having them filled with the Spirit of God. And you know, it's amazing that, you know, I'm going to upload these testimonies to you, but you'll see like and this is always the reaction, is people when they go in, it's always us, and they come up and we always ask them, so how did it feel? It's always when we baptize, like, I feel brand new, I feel like something lifted, I feel like basically freedom, I feel delivered. And that was really a big part of my point as well in the talk, that, you know, baptism is not just a symbol, it's not just an inauguration into a church, it's not about, that's not what it's about. It's a supernatural work of the Holy Spirit that changes us, and it does change us if we have the faith, if we believe, we're going to go in now and this is what it means. It's not just a little sign, you know, it's a dead man staying in the water, dead, and a new man rising with Yeshua out of the water. So yeah, that happened, and yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, thank you guys so much for the prayers and everything, and yeah, may God bless you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Blessings and shalom.
Shalom.